Hello and welcome. I am your host, the Yellow Brick Rabbit, your guide to the other side of the fourth wall. Hop on over and follow me as we delve down the rabbit hole to take a closer look at your favorite media. Today we finish off our Let's Talk Disney Star Wars series with Part 4. It feels kinda wrong ending a Star Wars series on the fourth installment, but I guess we'll just have to get over that. First, a quick summary of what we've gone through so far. Episode 7 has two overarching plotlines. One, finding the map to Luke, which was made completely pointless and nonsensical in Episode 8, since Luke apparently didn't want to be found. And 2, dealing with Starkiller Base, the destruction of which was made irrelevant in the first line of the title crawl of Episode 8. Yes, somehow the First Order took over the galaxy between these movies. Really? Cool. Can we have that movie, please? Our protagonist, Rey, an angry, scared, insecure young brat, is thrust into a conflict beyond her understanding, but by the end of the movie she takes a leap forward, facing the fear of her newfound power. She stops sitting around and waiting for things to come to her, and goes out searching for what she needs. Then in 8, that development is completely destroyed, as we watch her backpedal so far that she can't even remember who it is that she was waiting for, but is even more obsessed with her own past and the things she has lost, when she should be learning to let go of everything she fears to lose. But no, we've got to fall back on there's no place like home. She was joined by our favorite janitor, the bumbling, traitorous, cowardly lion, Finn, who learned courage by facing the volatile temper tantrum of the oh-so-ominous Kylo Ren and Stimpy. No? Stimpy wasn't there? Episode 9, Darth Stimpy! But back to Finn, who wakes up in Episode 8 having lost all character development from the last movie until the end of Episode 8 when Rose tells him that he's a silly rabbit because stopping the Death Laser from destroying the Resistance isn't going to save the things he loves. Quick side note, if the Death Star laser can be that small now, why isn't the Dreadnought covered in them? Oh no, a plot hole. We're not supposed to do those. Quick, back to the summary. Back to the summary. We don't have time, Rabbit. Our antagonist, Kylo Ren, has gone from a fearsome, faceless evil power to a sniveling, angsty teen boy, angry with his daddy. Having in no way explained his daddy issues, we watch as this pathetic excuse for a Sith plunges his wannabe saber into Han Solo, the only character to actually die on Starkiller Base. In 8, we will then learn that despite emotions like rage, hate, misery, and pain being the fundamental basis for using the dark side, this state apparently weakened our villain. The reason he needed to kill Han Solo was to grow his power. That's why the Sith do the evil things they do. It fuels their power and makes them stronger. Poe is our very own hotshot pilot who was barely in 7. If Poe had died at the start, and the rest was another pilot, would it make a difference to the film? No, not really. In 8, we get a fantastically stupid plotline with Poe as he is reprimanded for doing his job. What? Leia told him to pull back? Well, that was dumb. Those unbelievably slow bombers were already en route. If they'd pulled back, they would have lost all of them and still have a dreadnought to deal with. Oh right, and later the hangar explodes, so having those fighters and bombers from before is meaningless. And from the moment that X-Wings are off the table, following Poe around is pointless, other than to showcase just how incompetent the leaders in this universe are. Hux, Holdo, Leia, why can't any commander, general, vice, or full admiral make a rational command decision in this universe? Oh, because the writers are idiots and don't know any better. Right. Then we had BB-8, the droid, who isn't allowed to do things that droids do because we have way too many characters that don't make any sense if droids exist and do things. Finn's role in the First Order could be completely replaced by a Roomba. Rose is stuck behind pipes all day. Sounds like a job for a droid. Child slaves forced to live in a stable with space horses. I'm sure droids would be cheaper. Phasma. Actually, is Phasma just supposed to be a droid? I mean, she never takes the helmet off, so maybe that's the twist. Maybe that's how she survives as well. And with that, every character in these movies of note is provably fundamentally flawed in their conception. And every little bit of plot and character development we got out of 7 has been thoroughly leveled to nothingness by The Last Jedi. So let's talk about The Last Jedi. Luke? No, Luke is not the Last Jedi. If you entertain the notion of slaughtering sleeping children, you are not on the light side anymore. You are not a Jedi. You have fallen. End of story. And if, like he says in the movie, the power didn't scare him back then why did he try to kill his nephew? Oh no, the power didn't scare me back then, which is why I tried to kill my nephew. It's almost as nonsensical as leaving a hidden map to your location when you apparently didn't want to be found. Then why did you leave a map? Maybe he didn't leave the map. Then who did? You don't need the map anymore. Just ask whoever made it for Luke. Where did Luke go? There, we don't need it. We're done. But there's more. It's time for the Jedi to end. Yeah, that sounds pretty dark side to me too. Let's burn down the history of the Jedi Order. Book burning. So light side, right? Which reminds me. Luke goes to burn down the hut. Yoda appears and torches the hut. Why is Luke upset? No, really, why is he upset? I was gonna do that! Now it's the wrong thing to do! And to me, it's okay. As rotten a move as it is, you can do this to Luke. You can make him a disgruntled old failure. But you have to show us how he got there. If you want to show Luke like this, then you need a trilogy of films explaining how the guy who saw the good in Darth Vader was beaten down to a coward that would murder his nephew in his sleep. Why? To entice us to want to know the rest of the story. To buy your books and comics and toys and merchandise.
Merchandising! Where the real money from the movie is made. Spaceballs the t-shirt!
And that's great, you sell, but you have to leave something in the actual movie. Because they're what sell the rest. The Star Wars name isn't enough. It used to be, but then you made The Last Jedi, and 40-odd years of trust went crashing out the penthouse window. So let's talk about Yoda.
I'll forget I was he.
And it was nice to see Yoda, I know. But just like Luke and the others, he was disgraced. To me, Yoda is the singularly most disgraced character in the new movies. From this one scene. And it goes to the heart of what I believe to be a running message throughout the movie. What they have Yoda do and say in this movie is so wrong. It's such a betrayal to who he was and his relationship with Luke. I mean, other than telling Luke about his sister, Yoda's dying words, his dying words, are, Luke, pass on what you've learned.
You, when gone am I, the last of the Jedi will you be? Luke, the Force will strong in your family. Pass on what you have learned.
And they have him here saying, oh, they're not page turners. We don't need them. She doesn't need anybody. You don't need to train the Jedi. Just burn down the Jedi. What are you talking about? Yoda is a guy who spent hundreds of years of his life.
When 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not.
Training Jedi, preserving the Order. He passed this responsibility down to Luke. And after death, he comes back and says, yeah, you know that lifelong mission that I laid upon you? Yeah, forget that. And burns down the Jedi Order. And if you don't get what I mean, when he says Rey doesn't need the guidance, go watch the scenes of Luke and Yoda from Empire. And imagine he's talking to Rey instead of Luke. That's right, she really does need all of that advice, doesn't she? She really does need that guidance. And the sad thing is, this happens, the scene with Yoda happens right after Rey leaves to turn Kylo, which is a direct echo of Luke heading to Cloud City to save Han and Leia. What does Yoda say about Luke's decision?
Luke, you must complete the training.
I can't keep the vision out of my head. They're my friends. I gotta help them.
You must not go.
But Han and Leia will die if I don't.
You don't know that,
I feel the Force.
but you cannot control it. This is a dangerous time for you, when you will be tempted by the dark side of the Force.
The cave. Remember your failure at the cave.
But I've learned so much since then. Master Yoda, I promise to return and finish what I've begun. You have my word.
Why is he saying the opposite about Rey, when Rey is in an even more unstable position? Far more controlled by her emotions. Completely unpredictable.
Yes,
Yes. Wisdom they held, but that library contained nothing that the girl Ray does not already possess.
I can't be what she needs me to be.
Heeded my words not, did you? Pass on what you have learned. Strength, mastery, but weakness, folly, failure also. Yes, failure most of all. The greatest teacher failure is.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
I don't believe it.
That is why you fail.
So I started my bit about Luke saying he's not the last Jedi. Because he's not a Jedi. Rey isn't a Jedi either. She hasn't been trained by a Jedi. She doesn't know the code or the philosophy of a Jedi. She doesn't follow the teachings of any Jedi. She's completely run by her emotions. She hasn't faced or conquered darkness, or overcome her own. Which is what we see in 6. Luke overcomes his own darkness, and it's why I don't really have a problem with Luke throwing his saber over his shoulder at the start of Episode 8. Because that's what he did in 6, when he faced his father. He threw his saber away. That's how he overcame darkness and fear. He did not strike him down. It was a powerful message. But moving on. Rey is not the last Jedi. Luke is not the last Jedi. There are no other Jedi that we know of necessarily. I posit to you that you are the last Jedi. The fans are the last Jedi. And they want us to end. Because that's the message of the movie. That it's time for the Jedi to end. That the whole Foundation needs to burn. The past needs to burn and die. This entire movie's theme is burn all of the material that this is based on so I can get away with whatever I want. And here are some clues to it. The Jedi texts, the sacred Jedi texts, why are they made of paper? Now, I could be wrong in some, extended universe stuff, like the library at Ossus or something like this. There might be some type of scrolls or parchments or some type of paper, manuscripts and records and stuff like that. But for the majority, there's no paper in Star Wars. Not that I know of. Paper, to me, is not a Star Wars-y thing. Especially, we know holocrons and data disks have been used for, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands and millions of years in this galaxy. So you're sitting there wondering, well, why is there paper? Why hasn't this been transcribed onto a more permanent, oh, well, it's all been erased from that. Or well, that's silly. Why didn't Luke put it on a data disk? Surely scanning a book can't be that hard these days. But I think there's a more sinister reason why those books are not a holocron or a data disk or anything of that sort. And the reason is that it is not the sacred Jedi texts of the Jedi Order in the Star Wars galaxy that represent how the Order started and the lessons thereof, especially considering how Yoda talks about them not being page-turners and that there's no guidance in them whatsoever.
So it is time for the Jedi Order to end.
Time it is. For you to look past a pile of old books.
The sacred Jedi texts.
Oh, read them, have you?
Well,
Page turners, they were not.
I would posit to you that it is a giant middle finger to the extended universe. And that those paper books in the hut on the planet of Luke is the same books you have that say Star Wars on the side of them on your bookshelf, or that you read when you were, a kid and grew up reading. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're burning. That's what they have Yoda maliciously burn. The movie ends on a salt planet. It's a planet's worth of salt. They knew exactly how bad they were going to aggravate the fans. He preemptively put a planet in his movie where he collects the tears shed by Star Wars fans.
Salt.
If you think that's just stretching it and that I'm being a little bit too obscure, maybe. But there are more. There's more references to the same idea, the same theme of burning the past, of destroying the past. And the past is not their past, because they have no past. Why does Kylo tell Rey to burn the past? She doesn't have a past. All she has in her past is picking up garbage. She already has burned the past. That past. She got on the Millennium Falcon and left and didn't go back. Maybe it wasn't... It was, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. That's, Which to me is just like, don't you dare compare our works to the decades of work we callously threw in the garbage. And it's a scared version of saying that, because you know that if you open it up and look at it, it's 10 times better than anything they've written, because everything they've written is hollow, empty, and makes no sense. Now you might be sitting there going, oh, but they're the bad guys, he's the bad guy, so they're against them. Except, even in the trailer, we have 2 lines that echo this idea. We have Luke telling us it's time for the Jedi to end, and we have Poe saying we are the spark that will light the fire that will burn down the original Star Wars. I mean the First Order. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. That could be. I'm willing to accept that. But you have to understand that whatever it is, it did not come off well. People are not happy with this movie. People do not like these characters because they aren't likable characters. I do not feel comfortable with seeing any of these people succeed with the way that they handle things. They are completely incompetent and they need to work better. Which means that you need to hire someone who can write a script. You need to put some handcuffs on the damn director. You tell him you need to let your creative team be creative. And not push your stupid propagandist bullcrap. But I think I've talked enough about it. I don't know. I'm going to edit this together, see what comes out of it. I hope it doesn't come off too pessimistic. I know I'm kind of angry here. But I think we all are. And hearing these terrible arguments for why it's a great movie when there's nothing in it. There's absolutely nothing to defend. There's not a single character that has any depth whatsoever. There isn't a single bit of the plot that makes any sense. And it spits in the face of the very franchise that it was born of. And it's a common thing that's coming up now. It's becoming more and more common. And I think I'm going to do it with some more movies. I don't know. I don't want to make this this complaining kind of stuff my regular thing on the channel. I kind of just want to do reviews of stuff. But we'll see. It's becoming more common where these people are buying established franchises, and I don't understand why. Or I do. It's the marketing of it. You see, Disney didn't buy Star Wars. Disney bought the title Star Wars. They threw everything else in the garbage. Because they didn't want Star Wars. They wanted an original property that had nothing to do with Star Wars, but would make the money of Star Wars. And that's the only way you end up with these ideologically filled movies and these weird takes on things, is that You didn't really want to make a film in that franchise or off of that story. You just wanted to have the name recognition of it, and the reason that you wanted the name recognition of it is because as an original property, this would be terrible and everyone would see it for what it is immediately. Propaganda. And bad propaganda at that. Every character is just a propaganda tool. It's this person can be like this, even though it makes no sense and is completely contradictory with her entire lived experience. Yeah, that doesn't make a good movie, because we don't understand the motivations of characters. And they just do rash and crazy things, and that makes it hard to root for them. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. If you agree with me, you know, or even if you don't agree with me, but would like to see more, maybe, you know, leave comments, hit all the button thingies, do the thingies like all the other YouTubers tell you to, like, whatever, you know, do what you want, dude. Yeah, hopefully catch you next time we go down the rabbit hole. Have a good day.
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
When will then be now?
Soon.
How soon?